This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
To me, there are only two options.
Love that.
And the options are Pickett again. And I know a lot of people don't think Pickett's the guy. I just don't know. I don't think he is. I think most guys that have it make it work even with a bad coordinator, even with a bad O-line. You see these guys make a little bit more happen than what Kenny did. So I don't know. I don't think it's fair to evaluate him under Matt Canada's offense because Matt Canada was miserable and predictable. And if I'm a regular dude sitting here on my couch calling out plays, not watching the film, not being in the room every single day, not being a coach at any level, and I can say, well, this is going to be a jet sweep again, then it's pretty bad, right? You're pretty predictable. So, it was just awful for Matt Canada. There were a couple decent games in there, but he was bad. And then when he got fired, we started to see Kenny come out of his shell a little bit, start throwing the ball down the field, and I started to like what I saw a little bit. And by the way, when they finally let him do what he needs to do, he had so many game-winning drives because they finally unleashed him. They said, just go throw it, kid, which is what they should be doing most of the game. But anyway, I digress. I don't know that we have a fair evaluation of Kenny yet. And because Kenny went to Pitt and there are Pittsburghers and Yinzers, everyone is behind him. I think he's going to get this extra year. That's what I think is going to happen. And if that does happen, I mean, Deontay and Pickens aren't going to move a lot from where we have them. I think they're going to kind of stay status quo. I think I was looking earlier and it was like Deontay was 42 and Pickens was 38 in terms of ECR right now. I mean, that'll move. George Pickens will make 2 highlight reels in camp and he'll be in, right around 30 or, somewhere between 24 and 30. So like a high end wide receiver 3. Deontay is fine. Deontay is the steady Eddie. Pickens is your, boomer bust type of player. So Deontay will be fine regardless if it is Pickett. I don't think you can bring Mason Rudolph back to this team unless you're done with Pickett. I'll say that as the third option that I don't really think is an option. I know the reason I say you can't bring him back is because half the locker room wants him. And you can't bring back a guy that half the locker room wants and half doesn't want with the other guy you're going to give the starting gig to, because that is going to split your locker room immediately. So if Mason Rudolph is the option, then Pickett's getting traded. That's it. Like if they go out and they sign Mason Rudolph, Pickett's going to be involved in a draft day trade for a 5th or a 6th round pick or something because he's a cheap backup QB option that someone could take a risk on. And then Rudolph is your guy going in. I don't like Rudolph at all. Not even a little bit. From talent to personality, I don't like Mason Rudolph. So I don't want Mason Rudolph at all. Justin Fields is, there's even a rumor today, which is all, God, we talk about smoke ring season. Now I have to sort through all these crappy rumors from accounts that aren't verified or are now verified. And who knows? I'm a clown that pays for it, but it's good for business. So, but it makes it hard for us to tell, are these stories legit? The story I read today was that the Steelers have already offered their 2nd round pick and a little bit more to get Fields, but the Bears want the 1st round pick. And that ain't happening. So, I think Fields would make this a way more, and I hate this word, but a way more dynamic offense, a way more down the field, more options. Now you can run with the quarterback. Kenny can scramble. I don't think he can really run. There's a little RPO in there. Of course, he has the fake slide play that they outlawed, right? So there's a little bit of an athlete in there for sure, but he can't run like Fields can. Nobody can.
Do you think that 1st rounder is for sure off the table? Like let's say the Falcons come in and offer their 2nd. You don't think and something else, you don't think the Steelers will pony up and say we want this guy and give up 20?
No, they won't. It's a little more questionable because the con artist Omar Khan, the new GM of the Steelers, Kevin Colbert was there for like my entire childhood. So, and it was very much status quo. The only 1st round pick I remember them trading ever was to get Minkah Fitzpatrick, right? And that was at the end of Colbert's career. So they just don't do that. They'll trade up occasionally. They traded up for Broderick Jones last year, but that was con. And then they traded up for Devin Bush. They traded up for Troy Polamalu. So there are spots where they'll trade up, but they do not like doing that in general. It's very conservative ownership and team in terms of making wild moves. There's not a Jerry Jones here, in Pittsburgh. So I think that from that standpoint, it's just, I don't even know that they'll trade a second if the Bears said yes. I think that is, I just don't think it's going to happen. I love it. I would want it to happen. I love Justin Fields. I think he'd be great. I understand the stuff about, resetting the clock and, I think he would have 1 or 2 more years left on his deal. Maybe he's on his 4th and we'd have to extend him for the 5th-year option or whatever it is. But I think the Steelers are going to give Pickett another chance. And then if he is a miserable failure again, they go, all right, now it's time. Now we're hitting the reset button. We're doing the quarterback evaluation process in the draft again. We're looking at free agents. We're looking at trade options next year. I think they're going to give Kenny a chance outside of Matt Canada's terrible offensive scheme to prove that he can't do it.